Hello and welcome to Business Now, reaching you live from iBrandTV News Studio, Lagos, Nigeria. Coming up, House of Representatives to unravel loss of $2.4 billion illegal sale of 48 million barrels crude oil. Ogun, Kano, 3 others pass 1.38 trillion naira 2023 budgets. Nigeria's broad money supply hit all-time high of 51.8 trillion naira in November. And Kenya homes and businesses to pay 15% more for electricity. Thank you for joining us on Business Now. I am Omobolanle Adeshui. The House of Representatives has vowed to unravel the circumstances that led to the loss of over $2.4 billion revenue from the alleged illegal sale of 48 million barrels of crude oil exported in 2015. The House Ad Hoc Committee investigating the matter gave this indication. The House resolved to constitute an ad hoc committee to probe the allegation. The committee was also mandated to investigate all crude oil exports and sales by Nigeria from 2014 till date with regards to quantity, insurance, revenue generated, remittances into the Federation account or other accounts, as well as utilization of the revenue for the period under review. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has said the revised Capital Market Master Plan 2015 to 2025, developed in collaboration with stakeholders, is capable of harnessing these opportunities to further position the capital market as the engine of economic growth and development. Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Lamido Yuguda, said Nigeria in the last decade has firmly emerged as one of the leading frontier markets in Africa, with immense potential for significant growth, as the aspiration of the government to create opportunities for the private sector to be a major engine of growth that guarantees improvement in the welfare and standard of living of the citizens of the great country. And it has been diligently articulated in Nigeria's medium-term National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. He said the RCCMP has provided a framework and outlined strategic initiatives that will help embrace and unlock these opportunities in the capital market. Ogun, Kano, Kaduna, Nasarawa, and Ekiti State passed the combined 1.38 trillion naira 2023 budget into law on Thursday. The Ogun State House of Assembly passed an appropriation bill of 472.25 billion naira into law for 2023. The Assembly passed the bill as presented to it by the State Governor, Dakwa Abiodun, over a month ago, except with adjustment to the recurrent capital estimate and projected revenue in 31 different areas across 26 agencies. In Kaduna, a 2023 budget worth 376.4 billion naira was signed into law by the State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai. The State Commissioner of Planning and Budget, Umar Aboki, who made this known at a press briefing on Thursday, noted that the 2023 budget prioritized health and education sectors as 43.7% was earmarked for both. For Kano, the State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, assented to a 2023 budget worth 268 billion naira, which was 23 billion naira higher than what he presented to the House. The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Hamisu Chidari, announced the increase while presenting the past budget to the Governor at the Council chambers of the Government House. Also, the Nasarawa State Governor, Abdullahi Sule, on Thursday signed an 149.3 billion naira 2023 budget into law on Thursday. While signing the budget, Sule said the state government will commence without delay the full implementation of the budget, saying, quote, with a determination to ensure continuity of government policies and programs, the ongoing political activities will not affect the implementation of government programs, end of quote. For Ekiti, the State House of Assembly, presided over by the Speaker Olubumi Adeluga, passed a 2023 appropriation bill of 113.6 billion naira into law. The bill was made up of 79.5 billion naira for capital expenditure and 34.1 billion naira for recurrent expenditure. Kebbi State Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu has signed the 2023 budget of 166.985 billion naira into law. Bagudu signed the appropriation bill into law at the Government House in Birnin, Kebbi, after it was presented to him by the House of Assembly Speaker Mohammed Abubakar Lolo. He said Kebbi State is not against local government autonomy, but that without expunging Section 7 out of the Constitution, it will continue to remain under the State Houses of Assembly. Bagudu said Kebbi State was not against council autonomy, and those states which did not favor the autonomy should not be blackmailed. He said National Assembly should also provide legislation that grants powers to States Assembly to regulate the appointment, retirement age, and emolument of the judiciary officers. Nigeria's money supply surged to an all-time high of 51.8 trillion naira in November 2022, resulting in a 7.97 trillion naira increase year to date. This is according to statistics obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The broad money supply M3 has been on an upward trajectory in recent years at a rapid pace. The increase in the country's broad money supply is despite measures by the Apex Bank to mop up excess liquidity by adopting a hawkish monetary policy stance by raising the monetary policy rate by 500 basis points between May and November 2022. A further look at the data from the Apex Bank revealed that the increase in Nigeria's broad money supply was driven by the surge in the net domestic asset, NDA, which gained 11.18 trillion naira between January and November 2022, while net foreign assets declined by 3.21 trillion naira in the same period. An analyst has attributed the poor circulation of the redesigned new naira notes to the lack of proper preparation by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. MD CEO APT Securities and Funds Limited, Mr. Kasimu Garba Karafi, stated this on the backdrop of information that 13 days after the release of the newly redesigned 200, 500 and 1,000 naira note, and with 34 days before the old notes will no longer be legal tender in the country, automated teller machines in Lagos are yet to commence dispensing the new notes. While noting that the Naira redesign policy was ill-timed and not well thought out by the CBN, Mr. Karafi added that the purpose for the policy has been defeated and the January 31 deadline is not feasible. He spoke on iBrandTV's Business Breakfast Show.
That CBN should have contact. There is very few machinery that can produce currency, not all over the world. We all know them. Today, both Lagos and Abuja doesn't have the capacity within that period to produce new note. Even if they stop all other production, they only concentrated on the Naira. They cannot produce about 3 trillion notes of Nigerian currency. They don't have that capacity. If banks are distributing old notes to date, how comes you can stop the old note by 31st January? It's not possible. But now that is not the case. If you go to any bank, not ATM, enter any bank, you will get the same old notes. First and foremost, that CBN should have contact. There is very few machinery that can produce currency, not all over the world. We all know them. Today, both Lagos and Abuja doesn't have the capacity within that period to produce new note. Even if they stop all other production, they only concentrated on the Naira. They cannot produce about 3 trillion notes of Nigerian currency. They don't have that capacity. The truth of the matter that they did not produce enough and they don't have enough, and that is why they couldn't distribute it to the various banks' headquarters. If here in Lagos you cannot get it, and if this continue, there is no way they can stop the circulation of the old currency, because this is a democracy government, and you must listen to the wishes of the people, and you cannot make people poor to discontinue with the currency when there is no alternative. Otherwise, you are giving room for fake currency, because when the genuine ones are not available, the fake will be available.
And in other news, Crude PLC is witnessing investors' positive sentiment following the announcement that Afreximbank is set to acquire a minority stake in the company. The company's share price has gained 33% or 86.75 billion naira in the last 3 trading sessions on the Nigerian exchange. More on the gains, the company's stock price rose to 139.7 trillion, or rather 139,700 naira per share at the close of trading on Thursday, December 29, up from 105 naira per share on 23rd of December. On impending deal with Afreximbank, the Fund for Export Development in Africa, FEDA, the Development Impact Investment Platform of African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, recently announced that it has received internal approvals to acquire a minority stake in Crude PLC, subject to satisfactory diligence and documentation. Still to come, Germany's inflation declines to 11.3% in November. We'll bring you details and more news updates after this commercial break. Stay with us.